Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavati naistiki. Harihi Om Tatsat. Thank you all for joining. We are discussing chapter 13, Nature, Enjoyer and Consciousness. We'll try to understand the connection from recap chapter 12, then understand the connection from chapter 12 to chapter 13, why this chapter has begun. And then we'll look at the various sections of this chapter 13. More importantly, what really the application is, what we are supposed to do, what we have to take lessons. I think that will be the main focus. So yeah, we'll begin with the prayers to Acharyas. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Gnananjana Sarakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Krupatamam Vande Sri Gurum Denatar Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktamunda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Mera Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahim Dadati Swapadantikam. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktamunda ki jai. Thank you. Let me share the screen of this. Okay. So, first of all, the chapter 12, the middle 6 chapters we know is the Bhakti Yoga, first 6 chapters Karma Yoga, and last 6 chapters Jnana Yoga. So why Lord Krishna is speaking here, this section, this chapter has begun, Nature, Enjoyer and Consciousness. It is Jnana Yoga. Why do we need knowledge? That also we have to understand. So chapter 12 is talking about pure devotion service. Chapter 7 to 12 started from Kevala Bhakti in the first verse, and then gradually went on to the Karma Mishra Bhakti, Gnana Mishra Bhakti in chapter 7, and in chapter 8 we see Yoga Mishra Bhakti also, and then Kevala Bhakti in 8.14. And then 9th chapter describing most confidential knowledge because it is delineating the actual pure devotion service. That's why we see the most important verses of Manmanava Mad Bhakto. We see the important verses of Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. We see that Ananyas Chantayanto Mam Ejana Paripaste. That's why it is most confidential knowledge, because it is giving the process by which we can follow through and attain the pure devotion service, all the details. So that's why the most confidential knowledge. Lesser confidential is 7 and 8, and little lesser is second and third. So that's how it is described. Anyway, as it progresses, 9th and 10th, giving the opulences, Aishwarya Gnan, to understand and attain Krishna, that Gnana is needed. And then 11th, giving the universal form, and then the 12th is pure devotion service. So in the 12th chapter, we see the Kevala Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, where it is describing with Arjuna's, where it is mentioned in the 12th chapter. Bhakti is superior to impersonalism. That was the first section. The second section was different stages of Bhakti. It is describing Raganuga Bhakti and Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and Karma Mishra Bhakti. So Sravanatmika and Mananatmika. And external senses, 3 levels within that. And then the 13 to 20, the last section is qualities of devotees, where Prabhupada mentions accepting a bona fide spiritual master, one has to begin to hear and chant and observe the regulative principles of devotion service with faith, attachment, and serving and pleasing the Lord. And good association, by good association, one must develop attachment to pure devotion service. This was the main purport. So that's why those qualities are in relation here also, why Krishna is speaking, because in order for a devotee to develop these important qualities, especially non-envious nature, that is the reason we are here in this material world. So that's why first of all, we need this Gnana Yoga to come out of especially detachment, internal detachment from the from worldly pleasures or envious nature from the Lord and other living entities. So that's how that is the connection. Exact verses we can see from 12th chapter, verse number 7. Krishna is speaking that you will be able to get delivered from this birth, death, old age, disease. Tesham aham samudaptam to samsara sagarat bhavam netrat pardamaya visachetsam. Very quickly, I'll deliver you. But to deliver a living entity, we are attracted by the beautiful little attraction to the beautiful form of Shyam Sundar, form of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, Sri Radha Shyam Sundar. But at the same time, we have so much attachment. We are not able to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. We are not able to remember the lotus face of the Lord throughout the day in our life because of the constant attachment to these material objects. So that's why in the 12th chapter, when Krishna says, he will quickly deliver for who's engaging pure devotion service. But at the same time, somebody, the living entity, the practitioner has to be detached from this enjoyment mentality. So that's why that is the first connection. And then the 12th verse, you see that Sreyo Jnanam Abhyasa Jnana Dhyanam Visishate Dhyanat Karma Valatyaga Tyagat Chantiranantam. So cultivation of knowledge is important. Now this has been there. Krishna is stressing on the knowledge. Arjuna is understood. Sometimes he got confused. Oh, you are saying knowledge, that means I don't need to work. That also Krishna. But otherwise, you will see in 4th chapter, transcendental knowledge, last verse. Also there, also same thing Krishna is mentioning. That Chitvairam Gnana Asina Atmana. Cut these knots with the transcendental sword, like transcendental knowledge. Otherwise, there is no possibility to transcend, transform our conditioning. And the 7th chapter also, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all the way you see that Tatsrunum, hear about me, hear my opulences, hear more and more about me. Again and again, repetition, you see that even in the bhakti process, because that is the beginning, Sravanam is the beginning. So that's why it is that is the connection. This Gnana is specifically in relation with bhakti, Krishna is giving. Yes, for those who are Gnana impersonalists, they want to follow, they can follow because everybody is at different levels. But for us, for devotees, the main aspect is how to be detached internally from all the worldly enjoyment. That is the connection. Now, this chapter is laid out in different ways. Different ways one can look at. First is Arjuna's questions, 6 questions Arjuna is asking about Prakriti, Purusha, and knower. So object of knowledge. One more thing, field of activities, yeah, knowledge and object of knowledge, Purusha, Prakriti, Gnanam, Gneyam, and the field of activities and knower of field of activities. These are the 6 questions Arjuna is asking in the first verse and second verse onward. So that is itself is one section. And the second section is 2 to 12. Lord Krishna is answering to the field of activities, knower of the field, and knowledge. And it's surprising to see or interesting to see Krishna doesn't answer directly in the sequence of Arjuna is asking. Arjuna is asking Prakriti Purusha first, but very complicated to understand actually what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, who is Purusha. So many confusions, even among devotees also. So that's why he's not addressing or answering that first. He's answering all others about the field of activities, of the body, and the knower of the activities, and then the knowledge and the object of knowledge. Those four things first he addresses, and then at last only is addressing in the last section Purusha and Prakriti. Because it's much more complicated. Unless you understand other four things, it's difficult to understand the Purusha and Prakriti. So that's it. The first section is Arjuna's 6 questions, and then the second section is 2 to 12, Lord Krishna's answers to the field of activities, knower of the field, knowledge, question number 3, 4, 5. And then the third section is 13 to 19, Gnanam, Gnayam, object of knowledge. And then the fourth section is 20 to 26, Prakriti and Purusha, question number 1 and 2. And then the last section is about the consciousness, and then also summary of the chapter. This is one way to look at it. Some devotees has also mentioned as 1 to 7 as Arjuna's questions, and Krishna explains the field of activities and the knower of the field, 3, 4, 5. And then the 8 to 12 as Krishna explains the process of knowledge and liberation. And then 13 to 19 as Krishna explains the object of knowledge. 6th question. And 20 to 26, Krishna explains Prakriti and Purusha and their union. That is first and second question. And the last one is 27 to 35 is Gnana Chakshus, the vision of the knowledge. So, in this way, we can understand these sections. Now, first of all, why do we need knowledge? Let's understand. Why do we need the knowledge? Where in Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned why we need a transcendental knowledge, starting from 7 all the way from 13th to 18 chapters. As per the 17, 18 is again summary. Is very important because Sambhayan Atmana Atmanam Atma Yavat Sattvam Yatha Srutam Mano Madana Vepitam. Where in Srimad Bhagavatam Stambhayan, we are being stunted. We are being, because of the enjoyment mentality. Stambhayan Atmana Atmanam Yavat Sattvam Yathasrutam. Even though we are trying to control the senses, trying to get stopped from the agitation of the mind, agitation of the senses, but we are not able to do. Yavat Sattvam Yathasrutam. Trying to hear, trying to follow, but Na Sesaka Samadhatum. Not able to control. Because Mano Madana Vepitam. Mind is very much agitated. Where Prabhupada mentions there in that verse, unless one is very strong in knowledge and patience and utilizing proper bodily, mental, intellectual behavior, he cannot control his lusty desires. It's extremely difficult. Prabhupada is making this point. This is from 6th canto, chapter 1, verse number 62. Very important verse. Stambhayan Atmana Atmanam Yavat Sattvam Yatha Srutam Na Sesaka Samadhatum Mano Madana Vepitum. Constantly agitated. That is like a force. We are forcibly engaged in, even though we know, because we are not able to hear enough. We are not fully. That's why we see that where in the chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita also we see that unless all the Navara Indras, all the 9 senses has to be enlightened with full transcendental knowledge. Until that point, we will keep committing unwanted, undesirable activities. So that's why we have to hear. If we don't hear enough, there is no because exalted Acharya itself are regularly reading and hearing almost hours. We are not able to even spend half an hour a day to hear. So this is our state of consciousness. This is the problem. So that's why it's very important from 13 to 17 chapter. Krishna wants to give us this transcendental knowledge, how we can get out. So Prabhupada is making that point that this 13th chapter, by hearing from spiritual master about the body and the soul, even though we know, but only by hearing from spiritual master, the purpose of 13th chapter, then we'll be able to detach from all this bodily condition of life. Otherwise, there is no possibility. That was the purpose of 13th chapter, whereby it is the process by which we will be able to become detached by three different processes, by fruitive activities and knowledge, jnana, and then finally come to the process of bhakti. But we are performing bhakti, but these 5-6 chapters we are utilizing this transcendental knowledge to become detached from mind, senses, mind and senses especially. So that is the reason why we need knowledge. And we need to take association also. In the association of devotees, we must hear, we must chant, we must do kirtan, we must take prasad, we must discuss confidentially also with the confidential devotees. Otherwise, satsangya chadinu avsate vilas, te lagi karana, karma bandapans. Why we are into fruitive activities? Some desires are there because we have given up. Satsanga chadinu vishaga kainu asate vilas. We are thinking asat as a sat. So non-permanent things as sat, and we are trying to gossip about it, trying to enjoy this and that going on. Mind is after this. Manomadana Vivita. So this is the reason we need this chapter. Not only this chapter, continuous, all these 5 chapters are talking about from different angles, cutting the knots in our heart. One who understands, read this regularly and understands the actual concepts and applies, then he will be able to really focus and become detached internally. Otherwise, it's very difficult, as Krishna has mentioned. And Krishna gives also example. Anyway, now let's get into this verses as here. There are many examples here to understand why we need to. Maybe let me explain that first, so that we understand. From first example, this knowledge is important. Is undesirable activities are there, where it is compared with this body. One of the item of 6 questions is kshetra. Kshetra is nothing but the body or the field of activities. It is compared with the agriculture field. To cultivate, to transform that ordinary land, to grow anything, putting a seed, sowing the seed in the land, and fertilizing it and growing it for it to sprout and grow as a plant and produce fruits. It needs to be properly cultivated. So we are the gardener. The field is compared to the body. We are the gardener. We have to sow the seed. In order to sow the seed, we have to fertilize it. We have to purify it. We have to water it regularly. That's Shravanam and Kirtanam. So that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita gives this example of Mali Haya Kare Sei Bija Aropan Shravana Kirtana Jale Kare Sechan. So person must become the gardener and put the seed of devotion service and water it gradually, regularly, every day. Shravanam and Kirtanam. Then one must also, the bhakti creeper and also the unwanted creepers also goes. What are those unwanted creepers? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is describing. First one is the Nishiddha Achar, which is unacceptable behavior. So that considers many. The 4 regulations is all coming under that Nishiddha Achar. Second one is Kutinati, is diplomatic behavior. That's why again and again Acharya is here. Simplicity is the behavior of a Vaishnava. Diplomatic nature of a Duryodhana, first chapter begins with that. We have to avoid it. Outside one thing, inside one thing, not good. I'll give you an example I heard recently. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. I heard that always when Maharaj was being given a great facility of a big hotel and whatnot, bed and everything was at the highest level for a program for preaching. But they were searching where is Maharaj. Maharaj was lying on separately in a small corner with a blanket, he's sitting there. Then everybody is shocked to see that. So because many times we behave externally something, internally, if somebody is watching, I should be. But realize all, whether somebody is watching or not watching, he knows how to be very careful and always be simple. More we simplify our life, that means we should be ready to sleep On the floor. On the floor, if need be. The same time, because Srila Prabhupada, both cases we see also in Srila Prabhupada. Many times he accepted in the hotels. He was able to get up next day morning, but the disciples were taking prasad, but they couldn't get up. Then he chastised, we should leave this place immediately next day. Because of this environment, you are not able to get up. This is not congenial for you. Prabhupada could do it, even though he could sleep on the bed or hotel bed, but still he will not be agitated. He will be in full control of his senses. But as practitioners, we lead by example. So that Maharaj is leading by example. So because it's always, we have to be very alert. So that's why these otherwise unwanted creepers will bring unacceptable behavior, diplomatic behavior, putinati, and then himsa. That is unnecessary animal killing, which is also got transformed into envy. Looked at. Then the lava, mundane profiteering. So what is in return? Why should I perform chanting? Why should I do kirtan? Why should I engaging in service? Why should I take only Krishna Prasad? So everything, some benefit they're looking at. And then puja, mundane adoration. So we are all looking. That is the biggest problem. That's why in this chapter itself we see that. In the previous chapter we see, in 12th chapter Krishna is mentioning, and in this chapter also, what he likes to see, devotee likes. One who is humble, one who doesn't look for expecting a respect. So, and in this verse 8 to 12 also, amanatvam adambitvam starts with that one. Humility means Prabhupada explained. One who doesn't expect respect is not looking for honor. So, and it is practical, is very difficult. It's not easy. That's why we have to be very alert and practice it, hear more, and be always absorbed in the service. Gradually, we may get there. It's a process. It requires a lot of paying attention to details and practice. Next is pratishta, mundane importance, means unwanted things. So where Prabhupada explains this in Chaitanya, these sometimes look like bhakti creeper. Appear same size, same species. Only pure devotee can distinguish and is very alert to distinguish and keep separate immediately these unwanted creepers. Then further let's mention Sheka Jala Pana Upasaka Badiya Stabda Hana Mola Saka Badila Napaya. If one does not distinguish these creepers, sprinkling water is misused, because other creepers are nourished while bhakti creeper is curtailed. So that's what will happen. It's okay. I should expect us. I should continue all these things what we heard. Then bhakti creeper will be curtailed, will not progress, but unwanted things will keep on growing. So that's we have to be very careful. Further, the last point in this from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Pradamai upasake karai chedana tabay moola sakhi body Vrindavan. As soon as intelligent devotee sees an unwanted creeper growing beside the original creeper, he must cut it down instantly. Then the real creeper Bhakti Lata grows nicely and returns home back to Godhead and seeks shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Otherwise, he has to stay in the material world, can't get back to Godhead. Clearly mentioned, Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. He can get back to Godhead as long as he is maintaining these things. So that's why it's very important to understand this. So that's why the heart, in order to receive the mercy of the Lord, Ananda Lila Hemavadi Vichalisundra, Tasmai Mahaprem Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving Mahaprem through Nityananda Prabhu, through the spiritual master. But we have to have that heart to receive it. The heart has to be receptacle. So then heart has to receptacle means we should be devoid of this lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, arrogance. And then it has to be constituted with 4 constituents. Heart is the place to receive, and the heart has to be devoid of these and heart has to have four constituents, which is Pranada Pisunuchena Taroravi Sahishna Amanina Manadena Kitna. One must be humble, and one must tolerant. Tolerance is very much required. People will chastise you, criticize you, so many things will happen. As a devotee, as a senior, as a sannyasi also, more you are senior into it, more you will get. So without a doubt. So then you have to be very tolerant, because you know what is the goal. If you don't know the real goal, if you are looking for other goal, then yes, anything is fine. But if you know the real goal, then nothing should bother us. That's what we have to come to. That's why Haridas Thakur, nothing bothered him. Prahlad Maharaj, nothing bothered him. Nothing agitated him. Jayanand Prabhu, nothing bothered, nothing agitated him. He just went on his duty only. He didn't care anything else. So that is what the absorption should be, ideally. So that's why the heart should be of this humility, heart should be of tolerance, and the heart should be of not expecting respect, amani, and manadena, give always respect to others. So that way we will not have any enviousness. You are always glorifying, always thinking, taking only positive things from others, then no question of having envy. So this is very important. Now, that is one way to look at it. There are two other ways. First, let me cover these verses one by one. If we have time permits. One reflection I had written an example, the abbreviation of detachment, DETACH. Each word, each letter, what it means. But there is another example, Srimad Bhagavatam and Uddhav Gita, as an example given. Tree of this material existence, what it each represents, how to cut has been given also. But let me cover this first, where it's mentioned in the first verse. Arjuna is asking the 6 questions. And then the second question, as you can see, Arjuna was Prakritam Purusham Cheva Kshetram Kshetragna Evacha Etat Veditam Ichami Gnanam Gnayam Chakesva. So we can see the Prakriti Purusha first line, first 2 questions, and then Kshetra and Kshetragna. And the third, fourth, and then we see Gnayam, Gnanam Gnayam. So those are the 6 questions, in 3 lines. So then Supreme Lord started answering the questions. Lord is answering about first Kshetra and Kshetragna. Kshetra means the field of activity or the body. So as we compare with the agricultural land. And Kshetragna means there are 2 different Kshetragnas. The first is explaining about the knower of the field. So who is doing the agriculture? Are we the living entity? Also you can say. But there are 2. So that's with third verse we see that famous verse. Kshetragnam chapmam vidya sarva kshetreshu bharata. Cha is used. Cha means Supreme Lord is noble of all living entities, all over the world, wherever is been spiritual or material, anything and everything. Omniscient, he knows what's going on. But we are not the supreme knower. We are only knower of limited extent of our body. When we are sleeping, dreams coming. Why it comes? What is the relation? Do we know? We have no idea. So then how can we claim that we are the real Kshetragna? So that's why we are not the supreme Kshetragna, super Kshetragna. So that is the third verse, Krishna is answering that. One who understands this field of activity, that means body, one who understands the soul, and one who understands the super soul. All these 3 things, then he will be coming to the real knowledge. Otherwise, Prabhupada gives example like a citizen and a king. Citizen only knows is limited. He can only limited things. King knows the everywhere. He may have some land that only he can control, he can know. But king knows everywhere. So company CEO and the worker. So an example Prabhupada gives there. And Prabhupada also gives an example which no other acharya has quoted. Painter, painting, and easel. Easel like Prakriti, because Prakriti is giving the platform. So that is easel. The painter is Supreme Lord, Super Soul. And painting, we are the painting. Painting means somebody has to do painting. So that means the living entity is utilizing the platform of easel Prakriti, and he is trying to do different coloring. He is trying to enjoy different things. Paravat tavad avoda jata yavan jitnasa atmatattvam karmatmana sarira bandha. Coloring of fruit activity, Srimad Bhagavad says. So that's what Krishna is speaking, third verse. And the fourth verse, Krishna is describing the description of field of activities. how it is constituted. I mentioned about the Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and I mentioned in third verse about Supreme Kshetra, which is Supreme Lord. He knows all what's going on everywhere. So Kshetragnam Chapmam Vidya Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata Kshetra Kshetragnayor Gnanam Yattat Gnanam Matam Mama. I consider this to be knowledge. And then he's describing about the field of activities in brief. There, Krishna is mentioning about the in brief, where he's talking about how it is constituted, how this field of activity or the body is made up of, how it is constituted, what its changes are, what it is produced of, and who is the knower, and what its influence are. So, but also in the third verse, there's an important point I missed. So third verse, where we are talking about Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Supreme Kshetra, Supreme Lord. There it is mentioned. This is on Srimad Bhagavatam gives description. It is this tree of material existence. This material existence is called like compared with tree. That's why this is connection to chapter 15. This verse number 3 of 13th chapter is connected to chapter number 15. But it is laying the ground. So there it is mentioned, this is compared, nice comparison. The two seeds coming for the tree, pious and impious. This tree has 100 roots. These 100 roots are compared to the various material desires, thousands of material desires. And then this tree has 3 lower trunks. These are compared to 3 modes of material nature. And then it has 5 upper trunks, which are compared with 5 gross elements, Mahabhuta. And then it has 5 flavors, which is nothing but sound, form, touch, taste, aroma. And then you have 11 branches. That is compared with 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and then the one is the mind. These 11 branches. And then the nest on the tree, there is a nest made by 2 birds. One is soul, one is super soul. That verse is also there in connection in 24th or so, 23rd, 24th. Upadrasta Anumanta, talking about the same connection. Soul and super soul, nest on the tree. And then there are 3 types of bark for the tree. Air, bile, mucus. This body is made up of air, bile, mucus, kapha, pitta, vayu. And then it produces 2 fruits. What are those? Happiness and distress. So this is that's why this verse is also important verse. It has a significant meaning. This is described in Canto 11, chapter 12, verse number 22 to 23, where it is mentioned. We'll come to that. Anyway, time is going. The 4th verse, where Krishna is describing the description of field of activities. Their field of activities is also nice verse. It has some significance, where it is described that first of all, constitution, how it is constituted. 5 gross elements, 10 senses, and prana, and other things. That's how it is constituted. So this is explained continuation in 6 and 7 verses. And then Vikari, Yadrik is the constitution. And the Vikari, the 4th verse, Vikari, the one of the word in that verse. Transformation, how it is transformed. It is explained in 7, verse number 7 and 20, where it is talking what are the transformation? Desires and undesirable things. These are the transformation. And then the 3rd is Yata, where it came from. That is explained in 6 and 21, 22 and 30 verses. So where it came from is transformations. Yeah, where it transformations we explained, and the qualities, desire and hatred. And then from what arises from the combination of matter and soul. Yeah, combination of matter and soul. That's what it is. The Yata, who is that? That is the knower of field of activities, Jiva and super soul. That is explained in 14 to 18 and 23. That Yata, who is he? And then the last one is influences, Prabhava, explained as 14 to 18. So yeah, Prabhava, influence 14 to 18. This is where the 4th verse is being described. Now the 5th verse is describing. Now Lord Krishna is not stopping there. He is describing, it is not just me. And then Arjuna is asking, you explained in brief, then who has explained in detail? Is indirectly Arjuna is putting the question that the Lord is saying. Now he is quoting the Guru and Sadhu and Shastra. If you want to understand transcendental knowledge, if you want to be detached, That you need Guru, you need others, sadhus and Shastra. You have to corroborate everything by Guru and Sadhu and Shastra. Then that's why he's quoting the verse. ऋषभीर बहुधा गीतम चंदोभिर विविधे पृथक ब्रह्म सूत्र पदे हेतु मद्भिर विनिश्चितम ब्रह्म सूत्र पदे where Prabhupada is quoting these koshas, Brahma Pucham, quoting the Chandogya Upanishad, and Brahma Pucham means there are 5 koshas: Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya. So and then you have Vijnanamaya, Manomaya is also called Jnanamaya and Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. Anandamaya Vyasa. Supreme Lord is called Anandamaya Brahma. So we are up to Vijnanamaya Brahma. So Annamaya Pranamaya is the lower living species of life. So Jnanamaya means as you receive knowledge, but when we come to the complete full realization, that is Vijnanamaya. So these are the various 5 koshas, 5 ways of realization, going up from one level to another level. So by quoting this Chandogya Upanishad and Brahma Sutra, this Lord Krishna is describing. So that's why even Lord Krishna is teaching by his own example, how to lead by example. Then the 6 and 7 is describing about the field of activities and its interactions, where he is describing 24 elements. This is the Mahabhuta, 5 gross elements, and the false ego, intelligence, unmanifested 3 modes of material nature. Then you have 5 plus 5, knowledge acquiring and working senses plus mind, those 11. And then you have 5 objects of senses, which is sense objects. Those are tanmatra, sound, touch, form, all those. And then you have desire, hatred, happiness, distress. That itself is 24. And then on top of it, there will be desire, hatred, happiness, distress, aggregate, life symptoms, and consciousness, convictions. So these are all nothing but field of activities and its interactions. The Lord is describing the 6 to 7. Now he's going to the next aspect where he's describing about the knowledge. So Lord is describing the 20 factors, starting from Amanitvam, Adamvitvam, Marjam, so many aspects. So Krishna is describing, but in that, Prabhupada is clearly describing out of these 20 elements, first and foremost, the topmost is Maicha Ananya Yogena Bhaktir Avya Vicharini, the pure devotion service, Acharya Upasanam. Starting from Acharya Upasanam, if you know all these other qualities except this, they are no use. Prabhupada is mentioning that. So that's the Lord is describing 20 factors to help in attaining the knowledge to be liberated, means to get out from this material world. So that's why he's describing these 20 things. One must know, one must develop by in connection with spiritual master and engaging in pure devotion. So there Prabhupada is making a very important point. With humility, one should serve the spiritual master and one must serve spiritual master and serve him and and become receive blessings by pleasing him, serve everything in whatever way, in all ways. Whatever, to the best of your ability, we must serve Guru, spiritual master. In that way, what will happen is receive blessing, we will receive blessing unlimitedly advanced without, it is very important, without disciple following regulative principles. Where can we get it? We following regulative principle itself is difficult to go in progress and devotion service with other anarthas. But here it is clearly making the point that even if disciple is not following 4 regulative principles, but if the disciple is completely focused in serving the spiritual master with all his capacity, and even if he is not following, he is lacking something, you will receive such a blessing that he can immediately advance and he can come to the highest perfection stage very quickly. So that's why we can understand how important that is. So hearing from Guru regularly, we can't miss it. But we have to seriously try. Then there will be possibility of Lord arranging situations. We will be able to hear. We will be able to understand his instruction and we will be able to serve directly or indirectly. You don't need to be with the Guru. You can serve his representatives. So that is the way. If you think, then there is a way the Lord can arrange. If you don't even think about that aspect, there is no planning, then where the Lord will arrange? Lord cannot arrange. Lord is arranging Guru's service through his representative, through his devotees. So that's why we have to seriously think, plan, and pray. Then situation may happen. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Getting Guru's order, Guru's service is not so easy, because that if Guru gives something you don't follow, then it will be offense. It checks your progress. So that's why Guru doesn't give. So let's 41. Let me quickly cover 13 to 19. Next one is object of knowledge. So where Krishna is talking about now is getting onto the object of knowledge. What is the object of knowledge? To attain the goal, Supreme Lord. That's why he's explaining about the characteristics of the super soul. 13 first he is talking about noble soul and super soul. And then 14 is talking about everywhere Lord's hands and legs are there. So which is Sarvatomukam. So that was hands, legs, and head, spaces, here. Super soul is pervading everywhere. The omnipotence, even though. And then the 15th is explaining further continuation. Paramatma feature. But he is Nirguna. He doesn't have any material qualities. Yes, he is everywhere. He is expanding. That doesn't mean he is of material qualities. No, he is Nirgun. The living entity can be a Sagun, but he is Nirgun. No material qualities. No material qualities, no material attachments. Then the 16 is talking about far away and nearer, outside and inside, moving and non-moving. He is subtle and beyond material senses, to see or know. So this is like contradiction. All contradiction can exist in Supreme Lord, but still he is Supreme Lord. And that is 17. Is talking about not situated as one, not divided. Even though super soul is there in demigods, in human beings, in each and every species, but he is not divided. It seems to be divided, but he is not divided. He is the creator, he is maintaining and destroying. Directly he is maintaining as Lord Vishnu, but creator and destroy is delegated. But indirectly it is happening through him only. Like who's Lord Shiva is destroying, but who's supplying? Lord Sankarsana is the one who's giving the fire, then only Rudras are carrying. Same thing. So with the creation also. Without Lord giving intelligence to Lord Brahma cannot do anything. So the 18th is talking about the source.
Hare Krishna, are you able to hear him? I'm not able to hear Krishna Namananda Prabhu.
Of Purusha and Prakriti. He's talking about first 20 verse is beginningless. So Anadi. And then the 21 is talking about the nature is the cause of all material cause and effects. This is material cause. Efficient cause is still Supreme Lord. Material nature is not the actual real efficient cause. This is in relation with this material nature, especially the material cause is talking about that. 21, living entity is the cause of all sufferings and enjoyments. Because you cannot claim, oh, why Lord is giving all these sufferings to me? Why did you do it first place? Why are you asking a Lord that Lord has given you? So that's why he is clearing that. 22nd, Jiva, enjoying 3 modes due to the association with material nature. So this is meets with good and evil. Then the 22nd is important verse also. Purusha Prakriti sto bhungte Prakriti jair gunan karanam guna sanga sad asad jammayon. Important verse. And 23rd verse also important verse. Upadrashta Anumanta Bhakta Bhakta Sakshani, where he is talking about overseer, permitter. Without him, we can't do anything. And then the 24th is concluding. One understand this, attains liberation. So, and then he's talking about the last section is talking about the consciousness. With what consciousness one must operate, then he can attain liberation. Let me give 1 minute. Let me quickly cover this detail and then I will conclude. Sorry, Gautam Bhakta Prabhu. So what detachment? A small abbreviation. First D means one must detect distractions. This is very important. One must detect distraction, anarthas. And then E means one must equip with transcendental knowledge and enclose and envelope. It is like the pipe. Pipe leaks will be there. First you have to detect where the leak is. Many times we can't even detect where the water is leaking in the house. This is the same with the anarthas. T means tolerate. And you have to, so immediately you may not fix it. You put some patches for the leak. Tolerate and temporary fix. Applying changes. You may have to change different lifestyle, different things. You may have to try to remove these anarthas, sense saturation. That is T, tolerate. A is associate. And here, associate in the association, hear, chant, everything, and then apply the regulative principles. So, and awaken yourself. Then the sea is covered completely. So, with under the shelter of the spiritual master, completely the leaks. That means completely. Once you understand and detect and applying the temple, then you understood by now all where the issues are, where your distractions are. You completely close out all those areas. Pratyahar, talking about sea. And H is humility. Always engage in menial service to the spiritual master and devotees. In this way, we'll be able to become detached. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Nandra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktan ki jai.
Thank you, Krishna Namananda Prabhu, nicely explaining the summary of 13th chapter. Thank you. If there are any questions, we can take it at the end. Thank you, Govardhan Bhakta Prabhu. It's your turn. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Prabhupada. Can all of you hear me?
We can hear you and see you.
Okay. So I'll go with the share my. Let me know when you're able to see it.